Greetings. Hey, welcome to the Get Connected AR podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Hampton, and we're here. This is all dedicated solely for the purpose of getting you connected to the various different ministries, organizations, nonprofits, and all of those sorts that's taking place here in Arkansas. We're here live at the Brandon House Culture and Performing Arts Center, and so we're thankful to partner with them in this. Today, I introduced to you one that some have again kind of meet and know and kind of learn in and around what's called Providence Park. And so help me welcome Erin as she shares with us kind of about that work. And so Erin, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Glad you're here. Erin, just kind of start out introduction-wise, who you are and kind of why this work, how you kind of came about Providence Park and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thanks to Brandon House for having us, and I appreciate you kicking off this podcast series, and really excited to be here. So yep, Erin Stenger, CEO and founder of Providence Park, and really kind of why the work was the first question. For me, it was almost why not. So it started in a really interesting way for me with a relationship with an individual that was chronically homeless, and over time, as I got to know her story and kind of understand her relationship with homelessness, it really sparked something in me that was just not even a quiet spirit. It was like a loud roar within me that was, really spurred by this relationship with this woman. And I wanted to find something that could support her in a better way. And so did just a ton of research around the different levels of care for homelessness here in Central Arkansas, and then really couldn't find what I was looking for to care for her in the way that I just felt called to provide like a long-term care opportunity with wraparound support services. And so really the why behind the work is this relationship and wanting to provide something more and something new for Arkansas that involved, really permanent supportive housing with wraparound services. Yeah. So even when I thought about, I was working full time as a director of a nonprofit here in Arkansas. It's the Innovation Hub in North Little Rock, and in no way was I looking to, move from that.
Yeah, I wonder how you went from one to the other.
Yeah, it's one of those like, well, hello, God. So. No, it was unplanned, and it really started with, I was coming to work one morning really early at the Innovation Hub, and this woman was just resting against our door, and I just sat down and started chatting with her, and learning that she was chronically homeless really since Katrina, 2 decades, and I thought, like, how are you here in front of me right now? Yeah. And, like, how can I help you? And I just didn't have really what I needed to help her in that moment, even inside the Innovation Hub. Even if we had like a snack or a glass of water or coffee, I didn't have a shower, clothes, or like more that I could provide for her in that moment. And so I was able to thankfully, due to partners nearby, River City Ministries is not far from the Innovation Hub, and Brother Paul's Friendly Chapel and Paulo Food Rescue are around there. So I was able to get some resources, but even after that, I just felt like, wow, I want to do more. So growing that relationship with her, and of course other homeless people around North Little Rock and in Central Arkansas, I just started figuring out what was available, what was not available, and really uncovered all the incredible work that exists here, in Central Arkansas. So I always want to give a big shout out to like our current homeless providers, because they're doing some work, and that's all the way from, it's all across town, and I could just name all of them right now, but we know many of them here, but yeah. I just want to say I'm so proud of the work that they're doing. And so when I really got kind of neck deep in what was being provided here in Central Arkansas, I'm in awe of the support, but also really couldn't find what I was looking for, which was this permanent housing with wraparound support services. So it was almost like I can't not do it. Once I started the research and realized that, kind of what I'm looking for is not here, that just led me down a really long road of, really scouring the world to say, okay, what's here in Arkansas, what's here nationwide, what is here internationally, that so I could learn and find something that we could hopefully bring to Arkansas. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we know and she's mentioned there are some great resources
Ooh, yeah.
in and around homelessness and those who have need of that, and they've been around for ages and years. And so we're going to always shout those out. But this work that started, that's called Providence Park, what is that specifically? I started with the why. I probably should have started with the what.
Yeah.
But what is
Yeah.
Providence Park?
Yeah, so Providence Park is a 50-acre master plan community that provides permanent housing for the chronically homeless with wraparound support services. So we're considered a replicator village of Community First Village located in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And so that Community First was started by Alan Graham. He started his nonprofit in 1998 with Mobile Loaves and Fishes. And then that started as a food truck ministry. And then fast forward to 2016 when he decided that he's going to open Community First Village, which is also, it's 51 acres, a master plan community that provides permanent housing and support services in Austin. And so when I found Alan Graham and visited there in person, I knew that I had to figure out how to bring that to Central Arkansas, because it was just kind of checked all the boxes and more really that I didn't even think about years ago. And so I've been learning from them for the past few years now, gone through the full replicator program that they offer. So that's...
Oh, so they had a program established already?
Yes, so they have what great insight. So they have full-time staff dedicated to teach you how to replicate. And so they teach you their culture, their values, and like what it looks like to be centered in the way that they care for individuals, which is a really special way. And so I've gone through that replicator program, and many others have as well. So there's roughly a dozen or so replicator villages across the nation. And so after going through that program and really spending a lot of time at Community First, like embedding myself in that culture, I thought, okay, like what does it look like to bring it here? So through a lot of answered prayers, a lot of hard work, a ton of partners. Thankfully, our largest supporter is Pulaski County. We're able to see Providence Park come to fruition.
And you're not talking about, of course, just many of the citizens that's probably in Pulaski County, but probably, I'm assuming, the government entity of Pulaski County. So how have they been such a great partner for you all?
Oh, goodness. I need an hour to talk about Pulaski County. So it's been really special. So Judge Hyde, Judge Barry Hyde, our Pulaski County judge, he and I met about this idea, and he too at the time, little did I know, but he too was working on things that he wanted to accomplish, of course, with the time he's judge, and he also has a really big heart for the homeless. And so the timing was just amazing when we sat down, and I had done my research about Community First and invited him to my office at the Innovation Hub at the time, and told him about Community First. And I said, listen, you've just got to go there to understand it. And I would say that to anyone listening today or watching today, and to you, like, it is a magical place in Austin, Texas, in Travis County. And so when we visited, of course, he's like, okay, Erin, you've convinced me. Like, I'm going to go and see it. So he flew down there with a really good friend, Roger Marlin, who's been instrumental as well in this whole process. So when he flew down to visit Community First, he got to spend the day with Alan Graham and the founder, and really embed himself in the culture of Community First. When he flew back from that visit, we immediately met, and he's like, I'm in. We have to figure this out. So of course, he worked with his team in the Quorum Court, which we definitely want to thank. Amazing group of individuals, because not only did Pulaski County purchase the land for Providence Park, but they also decided to put in infrastructure dollars with the American Rescue Plan.
That's pretty huge.
Huge. I mean, when he told me that they had, they bought this property and set aside these dollars, Well, it's like I just about fell out of the chair. You know, I was like, this blessing just, boom, all came together. And that's one of those moments where I'll never forget, like listening to him say that to me and just thinking like, oh my gosh, you know, all this research and all this work, you know, there are things happening that are outside of your control,
Yeah.
right? And as much as, you know, you want to say and I want to do all these things, you know, for this project, like I released this to God really early, and like His plan is always bigger and better. And so I have many instances in my life where I can say, wow, like, you know, in my family, we say, you know, man makes plans and God laughs,
Yep.
right? So this is one of, I'm like, woo, okay, so this plan was huge from the very beginning, but it just it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
And so having the county's involvement, and of course, Judge Hyde and the team has been instrumental, because just the weight of that, right? Like it's one of the largest public-private partnerships when it comes to a replicator village of Community First. But also I think it shows, you know, our community here in Arkansas, you know, that they're in and they're really dedicated to, you know, helping us make a difference to provide this permanent housing, you know, with wraparound support services. So the county's been a big part of it, but there are many other partners that have come into the project because they really care about what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
and
talk about some of those.
yeah, oh my gosh, again, I need another hour. So what's really fun is the work is so big that I was able to bring on staff this year, which has been just another blessing. So Mandy Davis is our Director of Neighborhood Partnerships.
Yeah,
and I was like,
she's been
Mandy,
around this work for a while.
are you ready? Yeah, Mandy's been in this work for a while. She used to be the Executive Director of Jericho Way and also worked at CHI St. Vincent's, and has just been such a solid figure in being a voice for the homeless. And she's also just, I feel like she's like a resource magician. You know, when you meet with
see that about her.
Yeah, she's just very resourceful. She's like, oh, yep, I've got that covered, Aaron, you know. But I can also say the same for the rest of my team too. So I'm pointing out Mandy right now though, because with her role as Director of Neighborhood Partnerships, I realized, boy, I got to have someone really sitting in that seat, because these partnerships there's a lot of them, because we want to really look at the care that we're providing. So a few that I'd love to highlight, goodness, today is Wolf Street. So, you know, Justin Buck is Executive Director of Wolf Street, and wow, what amazing work they do, you know, in the recovery field. And early on, when I talked to Justin about what we're doing, it wasn't like, how can we be involved? It was like, and what do you need? You know, and they immediately, he's immediately come alongside us and said, okay, we're there to help you, Aaron. We know that you need to have AA and NA meetings on site. What does it look like to have peer recovery support specialists? And really walking us through what the right kind of care, you know, looks like. So what a great partner to come alongside us. Also say another really important partner is Rock Region Metro.
Okay.
We're a little bit out on the county and on county land. So it's like we need to really think about transportation and making sure that our neighbors have that accessible. So thanks to great conversations with Justin over at Rock Region Metro, they immediately said, okay, Aaron, we're going to work to get you on the Southwest Loop. And so that's happening this year, which is amazing. So thanks to Justin Avery, his team at Rock Region Metro, to be able to have the bus line come through. That's just amazing. Really, really, really excited about that partnership. A lot of people ask me about transportation. What are you doing about that? So our neighbors can, do you want me to keep going? Would you like me to pause?
I mean, because much of what you're talking about, many of these individuals that you're more than likely going to encounter either have some substance use disorder in their history. Transportation, I would say, is probably one of the biggest issues for not just those that are seeking housing, but our youth programs and various different other things kind of going around our city, even for employment. As many vehicles as we see on the streets, and the public transportation system that we have is still not as adequate as it could be to kind of service many of these individuals. So I'm glad to see that the substance use disorder programs are in there, transportation pieces are in there, but again, I'm pretty sure you have some other partners that are really kind of a part of this community to really kind of engage themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some others that come to mind, they're all stellar, but I even want to just sit for a minute and say kind of there's a uniqueness about this project and even the creating of it, because we don't just have one architect, we have several. So
Heard you mention that.
I thought kind of by design, because the project is so big, like how can just one handle it all, right? And so it's been really fun. So we have Taggart Architects, have just been amazing. We also have Williams and Dean Architects. We have AMR Architects, and we also have Jennings and Santa Rita Architects. And Thomas Pownell Engineers is our civil engineer. And then we have many construction partners as well. And it's been a really beautiful thing to watch these architects come together, because most of the time they don't work on one project all together. Right. So when we sit down and have our pre-construction meetings, or we have our architect and engineers meeting, the room is large, because there's like 20 of us, at the table. So it's got a lot of moving parts to it, because it has so many different buildings that we're building. And again, the way that it's designed with the wraparound services, it's been really incredible. Ecological Design Group has come in, which is a landscape architect group, to just sit with us and even think about what does it look like to bring greenery back in. We had to clear the land, and so even thinking about the landscape of it has been important. So our design partners are also instrumental in this, of course, because you want it laid out well, right? Like, you can vision it out as a visionary, but you've got to bring partners in to help you make it come to life. So I just want to say those partners have been great. And then we also have had some funding partners, Arkansas Interfaith Power and Light. I'm not sure if you know them.
Not familiar.
Wow, they're an amazing group. They help us with bringing in like trees in our garden area for the project. So we have a grant that's bringing in trees to create an orchard.
Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't originally plan that. I thought, my goodness, but that's fruit trees, like for our neighbors to enjoy. And that could even be a workforce development opportunity, because the neighbors can work on property. And so as we think about building out like the Community Works program, which is really us employing our neighbors so they can earn a living on site, because everybody pays rent. So we thought, well, goodness, we can create work opportunities around the garden, around the orchard, around landscaping, all different types of things are embedded in the project. And another part of that is we also have some churches that have been amazing, as you can imagine. St. James United Methodist Church, wow. So Reverend Ben Chrisman and his wife Mary, and Ben's dad Bill Chrisman, they have really all been heavily involved to lean in and say, like, how can we support you as our mission as our church, of course, but do you also need a space to land? And so, like, our board meetings are held right now at their church, and they also have allowed us to place a Hug and Haul 40-foot storage. Thank you, Hug and Haul. They provided that. Again, I'm like, we don't have a place to store our donations, so we are able to land that storage trailer in their youth parking lot, because they had space. I'm like, thank you, friends. So you just never know how people can come in and provide support. So those are a few more. There's many more.
So being able to bring all of those various different community partners and things together from various different sectors that are just not one, but even when you talk about the architects, them working together in a way that they normally probably wouldn't in a project like that. And so I can only imagine that as much as that input has been from the people in Austin, how much of the input has been from the people that you're actually serving, and what this space begins to kind of look like?
It's a great question. It's like, how have we been, chatting with the homeless about this? So I love that question, and that's where I really lean into. I have a member on my board that was formerly homeless, so that's very, very helpful to get their opinion and sit in this space with me. They also have been to Austin with me and visited Community First. We also work with our partners that serve the homeless. So when I sit down and get to talk with Ben Goodwin and his staff, or Pastor Holloway and his staff, and get to interact with the individuals that they're serving in their locations, to get ideas and input, I'm always asking about, like, what are we not thinking of? Right? Like, and I don't necessarily want to be in an echo chamber, right? Like, I'm like, help me think through, like, what we're missing. And so that's been really helpful to be able to sit with our partners, those that they're serving, Aaron Redden from the van has been helpful. He's out in the encampments, and his team, we worked closely with them during the emergency shelter time, and learning from them how they're serving those meals and recognizing what individuals need as we even think about food opportunities when we have that available at Providence Park. So lots of ways where we really want to be like sitting with our individuals that are outside right now to think about what we're missing. We sit in that a lot. Mandy does a great job already with, Mandy's a licensed social worker, so case management is kind of already started because we have individuals that are reaching out to us that are ready to move in. I'm like, we're not open yet, but I'm also not okay with not doing something like to help them. So we're trying to manage like requests that we have right now coming in just through our website because our application isn't online yet. So we're working through that to get that launched really soon, and so people will apply to be a part of Providence Park, and then we'll have also a human-to-human, heart-to-heart interview with them. But right now, as people are reaching out, even again before the application's launched and before we're open, we're having some really great conversations, learning from them what they're looking for, what they need. We might, ask them some questions about, hey, what do you think we're planning on offering, this in the future, and just getting their reactions. It's been really helpful because I've got to have them involved. And even when people ask me, well, what kind of rules are you going to have, on site on Providence Park, and what are the qualifications and all those things?
I'll say, because that's something that community is probably concerned about or have questions about, or the individuals that you're serving, what does that look like? And so kind of glad you're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, happy to. So of course, always we're focused on the chronically homeless, and so you've been on the streets for more than 12 months. You're in Pulaski County. We're also looking for individuals that are ready to abide by civil law. And so there's a lot in that statement, and I realize that, but we need to really sit with individuals in that and make sure they understand what that means and what those standards are. And then we also need to visit and look for individuals that are ready to think about paying rent, because we are going to have everyone paying rent. That's dignity and pride, right? When you're doing that, but being able to do that, but we want to provide the work opportunities that they can start working when they're ready, but also if let's say they're receiving funds, maybe through disability or Social Security, what does that look like in their lives? And so do they understand what a rent payment looks like? So we are really, those are some like high level criteria. We have more as well, but even when we have neighbors move on site, we've realized that it's really important to work with them to think about our rules. Like, what does it look like to have, like a properties association, if you will, where those neighbors are coming together to help us with those community rules that we need to have. And I want them to have ownership in that. So as you probably know, inside different encampments, there's normally a leader. There are rules. And most of the time inside of encampments, people know who is staying there. And if someone is new, like, oh, this is not your, like that already, exists. We in a homeless world, we know that happens on an everyday basis. So we, knowing that and realizing like we want to involve our neighbors in those rules. I don't have all of them figured out yet because I don't have neighbors yet. So like, give me a year, like we'll get better and better. But we're just in the thick of building out our policies and procedures, and again, like working with our trusted partners and asking them for help. Can you help us vet our application, for example, making sure we have the language correct even is kind of the things that we're sitting in right now. So
typically in my experience with those who are chronically homeless, they normally do well with taking care of one another. And for lack of better words, policing one another to make sure that they don't mess up the opportunity for everybody else that's kind of in that community. And so more often than not will you have some of those that kind of go their own way. But I think that that environment in that community has done really well to kind of take care of one another. And so,
but that, just hearing you say that, that just reminds me of family, right? Like, that in that community. And so even inside of encampment, but also hopefully within your family or your friends, even your Forge family, like you are coming together to make sure you're in line, right? Like there's structure, and so I think when I think about Providence Park, that I want to create that community around all of our neighbors so that we can help each other, support one another, have structure to our days, hold us all accountable. That kind of stuff is really important, like within this neighborhood that we're creating.
So you talk much about the work, and really kind of excited to see when this opens one day. We won't talk about that when.
It's coming.
But
it's coming.
But how can people engage with it now? Like you said, you already started receiving some donations and things of that nature. And so what are some ways that we can kind of engage ourselves?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I'm really excited to say we have launched our volunteer portal online.
Okay.
So if you are an individual or you're a group, you can go online at providenceparkhome.com, and there's a tab that says get involved, and of course at volunteer. And once you go into our portal, you can sign up, and we have it broken down. If you're an individual that say, hey, we would like to come out with a group and help prep the garden area or prep the orchard or prep the land in some way to help us, or help with the design process of the garden, let's say, or there's great ways to like get your hands dirty. If you're an individual that's like, we would be interested in helping build a home, like maybe I have some carpentry skills, or maybe I'm a retired electrician. You never know what the talents are. So people can sign up in those areas to kind of let us know kind of what your talents are, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, whatever that looks like. People can sign up. We have some volunteer opportunities. We have a fundraiser tonight with volunteers coming in and grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, for example. So we have events between now and when we open where people can come in and help us. And then we also have ways that people can start collecting items.
Okay.
There are like bundles that are available on our website. And it's just a great way for people to get involved. So I had a woman that started, she heard me speak last year, and I didn't even know this, but she called me and she said, I have been collecting items off your list for the past 6 months, and I want to bring them to you. So she had gone on our kitchen bundle and our hygiene bundle, and she's collecting those items and delivered them to our first tiny home. And I thought, oh my gosh, so people can do that. We have another group, the National Print and Sign Owners Association, thanks to Paul Strack and Custom XM with his business. They came together and bought bundles. They packaged them all and made like welcome home baskets and bags for our neighbors. And they also, of course, funded a home, which was really special. So there are ways to get involved, whether you would like to start collecting items as a group or an individual, get involved with some of our events we have coming up. Also, you can sign up for our newsletter, which is located on our website. You can sign up at the bottom of every footer, every page.
Okay.
There is a way to learn about volunteer opportunities too.
So are these, and I guess what kind of leads to this question is you talked about the bundles. Are these going to be furnished, or are they going to be required or responsible for their own furnishings?
Yeah, so the homes come fully furnished and with a week's worth of food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we really want to start them off well, because imagine maybe what they're coming in with might not be very much.
Yeah.
So we really, they're fully furnished, so people can get involved with learning more about that on the website. We do really want new items, because this is brand new for them, and we want that home to be filled with items, brand new items for them. And we've worked really hard to even pick out those items, worked with architects to find those items, but people can step in several different ways to support that effort.
Okay.
For sure.
I had 2 questions.
I'm ready.
What have I not asked you that you want to share?
Thanks for that. Whew, that's a great question. I think I really, I don't know if it's that you haven't specifically asked this question, but I really just want to say thank you to our community so far. We have felt the love and support really kind of from day one, and I told my friends and family the other day, I feel like I'm this blessing bubble, like walking around, like they just more and more blessings are coming, and I think if I just want to say thank you, and also just we of course welcome more support, but I've really been astounded by people reaching out and wanting to connect and figure out how they can help us. So I just want to again say thank you for that. But I think you've covered a lot of great things. One area I will cover that we haven't touched on is the fact that we are looking for individuals that want to live on site and do life with our neighbors. So at Community First, they're called missionals.
Okay.
So think of missionary, right? And but instead of going overseas, like what does it look like to be a missionary like right here in Central Arkansas? And so at Community First, they're kind of the secret sauce of Community First in that these missionals live on site in tiny homes, and they just show the neighbors what it looks like to live in community.
Yeah.
So they're just befriending them. They are coming alongside them in their walk of life, especially this newness, this new community that they're stepping into, and really just they're friends, and they're helping them with all kinds of different things. You know, new experiences that they may be having as they're living in a safe community, answering a lot of questions, but really just being friends and being that good example to them. And so we really want to have a 1-to-5 ratio at Providence Park. So one missionary per 5 neighbors.
Okay.
And so we're really asking the community to say, what does it look like in your neighborhood, right? Or people that you know in your church, or your support groups, your family that may really enjoy coming on site and living at Providence Park and helping us walk alongside our neighbors.
And the expectation for that missional as it relates to how long, things of that nature.
Yeah, we're asking for a year to start out. Our neighbors sign a year lease when they move in, and then it's month to month. So we feel that should be equitable to someone, a missionary as well. And we would just love to find the right people to fit into that. We have a discernment process and a training, of course, that will work with the individual as they're thinking about coming in and supporting the neighbors with us.
Yeah.
So.
I like that opportunity. I've had the opportunity to go overseas for mission trips and things of that nature, and I've always said that I think it starts at home.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it at home, then you can't really go overseas and do that well. And so I think that's a great opportunity for some that really want to explore what missionary work really looks like.
Yeah.
Either you've been in that space before, or now you're getting a chance to kind of go back out.
Yeah.
The last question that I have, you talked about your personal why. Tell us why we need to get connected to this.
Yeah. You know, I think I was raised in a family where, you know, giving back of yourself in whatever way that looks like, it's really how you can be your best. And I think it's important when you think about our homeless community, especially our chronically homeless community, that they are part of us. It's not separate. It's not, you know, us versus them, in my opinion. I was explaining this kind of earlier this week, and they said, well, they're over there. And I was like, well, let's think about that statement for just a minute, right? Like, they're actually all part of the community. So I feel like if we really want to make our community strong and healthy, and we want it to be a safe, you know, successful, thriving community, we need to remember how important it is to take care of our most vulnerable. Yeah. You know, and again, it's how I was raised, and I think I may have an extra dose of nurturing and caregiving in my body just from my parents for some reason, right? And God just said, here you go, Aaron, I'm going to pour this on you a little bit. But it's a beautiful way to just embed yourself in helping others. And I think, like, your best self can be found when you are giving back. Yeah. And, you know, I welcome people to experience that. I can't tell you how to do it for yourself, but I can say, with my lived experience and seeing other people give back, the joy that it brings inside of you, it's hard to describe.
Awesome. Now, how do we get connected? Social media, email, all of that kind
all
of
all the ways.
all of those things.
You can find us on all socials, so Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and X, or formerly Twitter. But really, just look for providenceparkhome.com. That is our website. And then, of course, my contact information is everywhere. It's Erin at providenceparkhome.com. We're all on the website. Our contact information is there. We have a contact us form on the website. You can find us again on all socials, and hopefully reach out and let us know how you want to be part of the joy.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for what's to come. And
Thank
so
you, friend.
thank you for doing this with us. Again, Anthony Hampton, Get Connected AR Podcast, and we really want you to get connected to the resources, to the various different things kind of going on in our community. Providence Park is going to be a great place for so many. And so there are many ways she's mentioned for you to get connected to that. Go visit their website. Go check out the Facebook and social media sites. And we'll see you next time as we wrap up Get Connected AR. Be blessed.